A little bit of history for me is that I grew up as a missionary kid in Mexico. And everything we did had to do with ministry. It was going everywhere to services or conferences. So hearing worship all day, every day, we'd get up in the morning, we'd actually have family devotions and we sing together. It got to a point where it didn't mean anything to me, And I even got to this really bad attitude about it, where I was like, well, I don't think God wants us to be singing to him. We need to be encouraging each other. In fact, I had a friend who was a songwriter, and whenever he'd write a song that was a very intimate worship song, it was beautiful. Actually, thinking back, he's incredible. I'm still friends with him. But I remember telling him, I don't like your song. I'd rather write a song if we do songs that are, more practical, if you will. And a few years later, I left Mexico. I came back to Texas, and while I was in Texas, I realized I had cancer. My world fell apart, because here I was in my mid-20s or early 20s. I was thinking, I'm at my, entering the prime of life. What can happen to me? And suddenly, I get hit with this very malignant cancer, and I had to give up the whole idea of me being a very qualified person. I had this kind of really cocky idea that, I'm a missionary kid. I've grown up hearing the Bible all my life. I'm healthy. I've never been to the hospital. I had all these ideas of, if God can use anybody, he can use me. I hit all the check boxes. And then along comes cancer and just completely destroys my idea of myself. So going into this, I realized, okay, I'm broken. I had surgeries where they cut me open and took stuff out and took tumors out. I went through chemo. I have to give up the whole idea of having children. I was always really excited about having children. Man, I remember sitting in the car after hearing the news and just bawling. I had a friend in the car and he was just like, man, I'm so sorry. Because they're like, once you go through chemo and all these things, it's kind of a 50-50 chance. Your body's just, it's like a chemical machine gun. It's just taking everything out. And it was during that time, I don't even know how it happened. These songs showed up on my computer. This was at the beginning of iTunes. And these songs just showed up that had to do with, it was very intimate worship. And it was a type of worship that's a very surrendering type of worship. And I remember specifically this song that said, all that I need is all that I have, and I give it to you. It's my costly perfume. It's my oil. It was drawing from the story of the woman that brought her alabaster box, the most valuable thing she had, and she just smashed it at his feet, broke it open, completely wasted it. It went against everything, all that prideful idea that I had, and I began understanding the just how huge that moment was, how significant that was, because it was a woman who had been very broken. She was very unqualified. And here she came into this thing. It was a very culturally unacceptable thing. But she broke the most valuable thing she had over his feet. Of course, everybody in the room is like, what is she doing? This is shameful. This is taboo. This is bad. Jesus, you're more honorable than this. And Jesus is like, stop, everybody, stop. Do you see what she's doing? This is the gospel, that you can bring the most broken thing that you have, in the most devastated time, you can bring it to me, and it's a beautiful thing. And it hit me, because my body was literally like that alabaster box being broken, and suddenly I was just like, okay, I'm no good anymore, I can't do anything worthwhile. My body just completely went kaput on me. And it was in that moment I felt God telling me, now you're ready. Now you're in a position where if you bring that to me, I can use that. I couldn't use what you were before. And since that day, worship has become something that is just profound to me. I suddenly realized I was scoffing because I had no idea what it felt like. I was just so full of myself. And the Lord used that experience of cancer, which, looking back, He healed me. We've been able to have children. And I'm incredibly grateful for those children in a way I probably would have never been before because of the whole experience. Worship means everything to me now. I just dream of a day where I could worship every day, But the Lord has invited me to come and hang out with him, to bring my brokenness, to bring, and it gives me hope for every broken thing, every broken story, every person I see who has this terrible story. And I'm like, guess what? All of that you just told me, take all that ball of wax and take it and just break it at Jesus' feet. And that is the gospel, is that you can do that. That's beautiful. And he will heal it. He'll redeem it. He's going to make something new. And that's my story of worship.